I'm reading from the easy-to-read version. Matthew 1. The family history of Jesus the Messiah. This is the family history of Jesus the Messiah. He came from the family of David, who was from the family of Abraham. Abraham was the father of Isaac. Isaac was the father of Jacob. Jacob was the father of Judah and his brothers. Judah was the father of Perez and Zerah. Their mother was Tamar. Perez was the father of Hezron. Hezron was the father of Ram. Ram was the father of Amminadab. Amminadab was the father of Nahshon. Nahshon was the father of Salmon. Salmon was the father of Boaz. His mother was Rahab. Boaz was the father of Obed. His mother was Ruth. Obed was the father of Jesse. Jesse was the father of King David. David was the father of Solomon. His mother had been Uriah's wife. Solomon was the father of Rehoboam. Rehoboam was the father of Abijah. Abijah was the father of Asa. Asa was the father of Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat was the father of Jehoram. Jehoram was the father of Uzziah. Uzziah was the father of Jotham. Jotham was the father of Ahaz. Ahaz was the father of Hezekiah. Hezekiah was the father of Manasseh. Manasseh was the father of Amon. Amon was the father of Josiah. Josiah was the grandfather of Jehoshaphat and his brothers, who lived during the time that the people were taken away to Babylon. After they were taken to Babylon, Jehoshaphat was the father of Shealtiel. Shealtiel was the grandfather of Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel was the father of Abud. Abud was the father of Eliakim. Eliakim was the father of Azor. Azor was the father of Zadok. Zadok was the father of Akim. Akim was the father of Eliud. Eliud was the father of Eleazar. Eleazar was the father of Mathan. Mathan was the father of Jacob. Jacob was the father of Joseph. Joseph was the husband of Mary. And Mary was the mother of Jesus, who is called the Messiah. So there were 14 generations from Abraham to David. There were also 14 generations from David until the people were taken away to Babylon. And there were 14 more from the time the people were taken to Babylon until the Messiah was born. The birth of Jesus the Messiah. This is how the birth of Jesus the Messiah happened. His mother Mary was engaged to marry Joseph, but before they married, he learned that she was expecting a baby. She was pregnant by the power of the Holy Spirit. Mary's husband Joseph was a good man. He did not want to cause her public disgrace, so he planned to divorce her secretly. But after Joseph thought about this, an angel from the Lord came to him in a dream. The angel said, "Joseph, son of David, don't be afraid to accept Mary to be your wife. The baby inside her is from the Holy Spirit. She will give birth to a son. You will name him Jesus. Give him that name because he will save his people from their sins." All this happened to make clear the full meaning of what the Lord said through the prophet. The virgin will be pregnant and will give birth to a son. They will name him Immanuel. Immanuel means God with us. When Joseph woke up, he did what the Lord's angel told him to do. He married Mary. But Joseph did not have sexual relations with her until her son was born, and he named him Jesus. Matthew 2. Wise men come to visit Jesus. Jesus was born in the town of Bethlehem in Judea during the time when Herod was king. After Jesus was born, some wise men from the east came to Jerusalem. They asked people, "Where is the child who has been born to be the king of the Jews? We saw the star that shows he was born. We saw it rise in the sky in the east and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard about this, it upset him, as well as everyone else in Jerusalem. Herod called a meeting of all the leading Jewish priests and teachers of the law. He asked them where the Messiah would be born. They answered, "In the town of Bethlehem in Judea, just as the prophet wrote. Bethlehem in the land of Judah, you are important among the rulers of Judah. Yes, A ruler will come from you, and that ruler will lead Israel, my people. Micah 5:2. Then Herod had a private meeting with the wise men from the east. He learned from them the exact time they first saw the star. Then he sent them to Bethlehem. He said, "Go and look carefully for the child. When you find him, come tell me. Then I can go worship him too." After the wise men heard the king, they left. They saw the same star they had seen in the east, and they followed it. The star went before them until it stopped above the place where the child was. They were very happy and excited to see the star. The wise men came to the house where the child was with his mother Mary. They bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened the boxes of gifts they had brought for him. They gave him treasures of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. But God warned the wise men in a dream not to go back to Herod. So they went home to their own country a different way. Jesus' parents take him to Egypt. After the wise men left, an angel from the Lord came to Joseph in a dream. The angel said, "Get up, take the child with his mother, and escape to Egypt. Herod wants to kill the child and will soon start looking for him. Stay in Egypt until I tell you to come back." So Joseph got ready and left for Egypt with the child and the mother. They left during the night. Joseph stayed in Egypt until Herod died. This gave full meaning to what the Lord said through the prophet, "I called my son to come out of Egypt." Herod kills the baby boys in Bethlehem. Herod saw that the wise men had fooled him, and he was very angry. So he gave an order to kill all the baby boys in Bethlehem and the whole area around Bethlehem. Herod had learned from the wise men the time the baby was born. It was now 2 years from that time. So he said to kill all the boys who were 2 years old and younger. This gave full meaning to what God had said through the prophet Jeremiah. A sound was heard in Ramah, bitter crying and great sadness. Rachel cries for her children, and she cannot be comforted because her children are gone. Jeremiah 31:15. Joseph and Mary returned from Egypt. While Joseph was in Egypt, Herod died. An angel from the Lord came to Joseph in a dream and said, "Get up, take the child with his mother and go to Israel. Those who were trying to kill the child are now dead." So Joseph took the child and the mother and went to Israel. But he heard that Archelaus was now king in Judea. Archelaus became king when his father Herod died. So Joseph was afraid to go there. Then, after being warned in a dream, he went away to the area of Galilee. He went to a town called Nazareth and lived there. This gave full meaning to what God said through the prophets. God said the Messiah would be called a Nazarene. Matthew 3. John prepares the way for Jesus. When it was the right time, John the Baptizer began telling people a message from God. This was out in the desert area of Judea. John said, "Change your hearts and lives, because God's kingdom is now very near." John is the one Isaiah the prophet was talking about when he said, "There is someone shouting in the desert, prepare the way for the Lord, make the road straight for him." Isaiah 40:3. John's clothes were made from camel's hair, and he had a leather belt around his waist. For food, he ate locusts and wild honey. People came to John from Jerusalem and the rest of Judea and from all the areas along the Jordan River. They confessed the bad things they had done, and John baptized them in the Jordan. Many Pharisees and Sadducees came to where John was baptizing people. When John saw them, he said, "You are all snakes. Who warned you to run from God's judgment that is coming? Change your hearts and show by the way you live that you have changed." I know what you are thinking. You want to say, "But Abraham is our father." That means nothing, I tell you. God could make children for Abraham from these rocks. The axe is now ready to cut down the trees. Every tree that does not produce good fruit will be cut down and thrown into the fire. I baptize you with water to show that you have changed your hearts and lives, but there is someone coming later who is able to do more than I can. I am not good enough to be the slave who takes off his sandals. He will baptize you with the Holy Spirit and with fire. He will come ready to clean the grain. He will separate the good grain from the straw, and he will put the good part into his barn. Then he will burn the useless part with a fire that cannot be stopped. Jesus is baptized by John. Then Jesus came from Galilee to the Jordan River. He came to John, wanting John to baptize him, but John tried to stop him. John said, "Why do you come to me to be baptized? I should be baptized by you." Jesus answered, "Let it be this way for now. We should do whatever God says is right." Then John agreed. So Jesus was baptized. As soon as he came up out of the water, the sky opened, and he saw God's Spirit coming down on him like a dove. A voice from heaven said, "This is my son, the one I love. I am very pleased with him." Matthew 4. The temptation of Jesus. Then the Spirit led Jesus into the desert. He was taken there to be tempted by the devil. Jesus ate nothing for 40 days and nights. After this, he was very hungry. The devil came to tempt him and said, "If you are the Son of God, tell these rocks to become bread." Jesus answered him, "The scriptures say, 'It is not just bread that keeps people alive. Their lives depend on what God says.'" Deuteronomy 8:3. Then the devil led Jesus to the holy city of Jerusalem and put him on a high place at the edge of the temple area. He said to Jesus, "If you are the Son of God, jump off, because the scriptures say, 'God will command his angels to help you, and their hands will catch you, so that you will not hit your foot on a rock.'" Psalm 91:11-12. Jesus answered, "The scriptures also say, 'You must not test the Lord your God.'" Then the devil led Jesus to the top of a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and all the wonderful things in them. The devil said, "If you will bow down and worship me, I will give you all these things." Jesus said to him, "Get away from me, Satan. The scriptures say you must worship the Lord your God, serve only him." Deuteronomy 6:13. So the devil left him. Then some angels came to Jesus and helped him. Jesus begins his work in Galilee. Jesus heard that John was put in prison, so he went back to Galilee. But he did not stay in Nazareth. He went to live in Capernaum, a town near Lake Galilee, in the area near Zebulun and Naphtali. He did this to give full meaning to what the prophet Isaiah said. "Listen, land of Zebulun and land of Naphtali, lands by the road that goes to the sea, the area past the Jordan River. Galilee, where those from other nations live. The people who live in spiritual darkness have seen a great light. The light has shined for those who live in the land that is as dark as a grave." Isaiah 9:1-2. From that time, Jesus began to tell people his message. Change your hearts and lives, because God's kingdom is now very near. Jesus chooses some followers. As Jesus was walking by Lake Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, called Peter, and Simon's brother, Andrew. These brothers were fishermen, and they were fishing in the lake with a net. Jesus said to them, "Come, follow me, and I will make you a different kind of fisherman. You will bring in people, not fish." Simon and Andrew immediately left their nets and followed him. Jesus continued walking by Lake Galilee. He saw two other brothers, James and John, the sons of Zebedee. They were in a boat with their father Zebedee. They were preparing their nets to catch fish. Jesus told the brothers to come with him, so they immediately left the boat and their father, and they followed Jesus. Jesus teaches and heals the people. Jesus went everywhere in the country of Galilee. He taught in the synagogues and told the good news about God's kingdom, and he healed all the people's diseases and sicknesses. The news about Jesus spread all over Syria, and people brought to him all those who were sick. They were suffering from different kinds of diseases and pain. Some had demons inside them, some suffered from seizures, and some were paralyzed. Jesus healed them all. Large crowds followed him. People from Galilee, the 10 towns, Jerusalem, Judea, and the area across the Jordan River. Matthew 5. Jesus teaches the people. When Jesus saw the crowds of people there, he went up on a hill and sat down. His followers came and sat next to him. Then Jesus began teaching the people. He said, "Great blessings belong to those who know they are spiritually in need. God's kingdom belongs to them. Great blessings belong to those who are sad now. God will comfort them. Great blessings belong to those who are humble. They will be given the land God promised. Great blessings belong to those who want to do right more than anything else. God will fully satisfy them. Great blessings belong to those who show mercy to others. Mercy will be given to them. Great blessings belong to those whose thoughts are pure. They will be with God. Great blessings belong to those who work to bring peace. God will call them his sons and daughters. Great blessings belong to those who suffer persecution for doing what is right. God's kingdom belongs to them. People will insult you and hurt you. They will lie and say all kinds of evil things about you because you follow me. But when they do that, know that great blessings belong to you. Be happy about it. Be very glad because you have a great reward waiting for you in heaven. People did these same bad things to the prophets who lived before you. You are like salt and light. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its taste, it cannot be made salty again. Salt is useless if it loses its salty taste. It will be thrown out where people will just walk on it. You are the light that shines for the world to see. You are like a city built on a hill that cannot be hidden. People don't hide a lamp under a bowl. They put it on a lampstand. Then the light shines for everyone in the house. In the same way, you should be a light for other people. Live so that they will see the good things you do and praise your Father in heaven. Jesus and the Old Testament writings. Don't think that I have come to destroy the law of Moses or the teachings of the prophets. I have come not to destroy their teachings, but to give full meaning to them. I assure you that nothing will disappear from the law until heaven and earth are gone. The law will not lose even the smallest letter or the smallest part of a letter until it has all been done. A person should obey every command in the law, even one that does not seem important. Whoever refuses to obey any command and teaches others not to obey it will be the least important in God's kingdom. But whoever obeys the law and teaches others to obey it will be great in God's kingdom. I tell you that you must do better than the teachers of the law and the Pharisees. If you are not more pleasing to God than they are, you will never enter God's kingdom. Jesus teaches about anger. You have heard that it was said to our people long ago, "You must not murder anyone. Any person who commits murder will be judged." But I tell you, don't be angry with anyone. If you are angry with others, you will be judged. And if you insult someone, you will be judged by the high court. And if you call someone a fool, you will be in danger of the fire of hell. So what if you are offering your gift at the altar and remember that someone has something against you? Leave your gift there and go make peace with that person. Then come and offer your gift. If anyone wants to take you to court, make friends with them quickly. Try to do that before you get to the court. If you don't, they might hand you over to the judge, and the judge will hand you over to a guard who will throw you into jail. I assure you that you will not leave there until you have paid everything you owe. Jesus teaches about sexual sin. You have heard that it was said, "You must not commit adultery." But I tell you that if a man looks at a woman and wants to sin sexually with her, he has already committed that sin with her in his mind. If your right eye makes you sin, take it out and throw it away. It is better to lose one part of your body than to have your whole body thrown into hell. If your right hand makes you sin, cut it off and throw it away. It is better to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to go into hell. Jesus teaches about divorce. It was also said, any man who divorces his wife must give her a written notice of divorce. But I tell you that any man who divorces his wife, except for the problem of sexual sin, is causing his wife to be guilty of adultery, and whoever marries a divorced woman is guilty of adultery. Jesus teaches about making promises. You have heard that it was said to our people long ago, when you make a vow, you must not break your promise. Keep the vows that you make to the Lord. But I tell you, when you make a promise, don't try to make it stronger with a vow. Don't make a vow using the name of heaven, because heaven is God's throne. Don't make a vow using the name of the earth, because the earth belongs to him. Don't make a vow using the name of Jerusalem, because it also belongs to him, the great king. And don't even say that your own head is proof that you will keep your promise. You cannot make one hair on your head white or black. Say only yes if you mean yes, and say only no if you mean no. If you say more than that, it is from the evil one. Jesus teaches about fighting back. You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I tell you, don't fight back against someone who wants to do harm to you. If they hit you on the right cheek, let them hit the other cheek too. If anyone wants to sue you in court and take your shirt, let them have your coat too. If a soldier forces you to walk with him 1 mile, go with him too. Give to anyone who asks you for something. Don't refuse to give to anyone who wants to borrow from you. Love your enemies. You have heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies. Pray for those who treat you badly. If you do this, you will be children who are truly like your Father in heaven. He lets the sun rise for all people, whether they are good or bad. He sends rain to those who do right and to those who do wrong. If you love only those who love you, why should you get a reward for that? Even the tax collectors do that. And if you are nice only to your friends, you are no better than anyone else. Even the people who don't know God are nice to their friends. What I am saying is that you must be perfect, just as your Father in heaven is perfect.